In today's video, we're going to talk about an elite light infantry battalion of the South African Army and its amazing ventures. So let's get to it. What was the elite Spec Ops Unit 32 Battalion? Origins and forming of the unit. South Africa's elite Spec Ops Unit 32 Battalion, commonly referred to as the Terrible Ones, Buffalo Battalion, or Portuguese, was a light infantry battalion of the South African Army. It was founded in 1975 and was composed of black and white commissioned and enlisted personnel. Eventually, it was disbanded in 1993. The origins of this special ops unit date back to the Angolan Civil War and displaced mercenaries who sought refuge in nearby countries. The war ended in 1975 when communists came to power, while the remains of the opposing force headed to South Africa in the hope of finding support. At the same time, Colonel Jan Breitenbach of the South African Special Forces Brigade asked and subsequently received permission to form a unit consisting of the remaining fighters. The unit was named Bravo Group, and it consisted of approximately 600 both white and black men. The unit included several teams, 2 rifle companies, a machine gun platoon, a motor platoon, an anti-tank group, and a reconnaissance team. Afterwards, the unit was deployed to South Africa and Angola from time to time. In order to fight with communists who planned to incorporate totalitarianism in South Africa, the unit used both conventional and unconventional methods. The communist enemy consisted of multiple groups as well. They were FALPA, along with their Cuban mentors, and the Southwest Africa People's Organization, or SWAPO. Unit 32 managed to fight these groups for more than 15 years in various operations. Some of the operations were performed with the help of other forces, but some missions were accomplished completely on their own. One of those solo missions was one of their most famous, and it took place in the 1980s. The return to Angola, the strategy. Many of the members of 32 Unit were angry because they lost, and therefore wanted to go back to Angola and renew efforts there rather than let Angola grow in strength and spread the influence of utopia along South Africa's border. They were more than happy to return to Angola due to the special military operation called Tiro A. Tiro was supposed to target an important FAPLA base at Savate, near the border on the Cubango River. Meanwhile, Angola's communists faced notable problems besides Unit 32. It was the guerrilla force called UNITA, created under the patronage of Dr. Jonas Savimbi. The 32 Battalion used that situation in its favor and decided to attack the vulnerable communists and wipe out what was left of them. They hatched a plan that included 2 rifle companies for the main attack against the FAPLA base. One of the rifle teams was meant to be held in reserve. The mortar platoon and reconnaissance team would be present to provide cover and serve as a blocking force. The surprise moment in this operation would be crucial, meaning no air support would be needed. On May 15th, 270 men from the unit boarded armored personnel carriers and heavy trucks and headed to South Angola. For the next few days, the convoy was moving towards Savate. It regularly used the reconnaissance team to keep track of troop strength and vehicles at the FAPLA base. While the unit was advancing, the recon teams used kayaks to travel downstream and upstream on the Cubango River. Once they managed to acquire all necessary intel, the 2 rifle companies alighted from their vehicles near the base and subsequently attacked the main base in the morning, while a mortar barrage provided cover. One of the largest battles in Africa. The clash was fast-paced and ferocious. It began when 2 companies approached from 2 different directions and swept through the surprised garrison. At the same time, another group attacked the nearby airfield. The battle, which was 4 hours long, resulted in the elimination and eviction of FAPLA. Approximately 500 people were either killed or seriously wounded. This is considered one of the greatest victories in the military history of South Africa. However, the job was far from finished for Unit 32 because SWAPO remained a major threat. SWAPO wanted to remake Namibia in the image of Angola, while using Angola as the base of their operations. Unit 32 kept chasing down SWAPO, which was organized into small units. One of the most important things that might even have been the deal breaker was the unit's secret weapon, seasoned trackers. These were people who knew the African soil like the back of their hand. The job was to lead ambush teams to encampments to assassinate enemy soldiers in their sleep. White members of the team had to blend in somehow, so they painted their exposed skin black in order to conceal the unit's type at a distance if spotted during daytime. The outcome of the battle proved the strategy and tactics of Unit 32 were exceptional. The unit only suffered minor losses and earned its nickname, the Terrible Ones, due to their brutal efficiency. The fight also showed that the members of the unit practically became masters of counterinsurgency. One last time, there was a need for them to perform a task as a conventional force when they were called to engage in a battle of Quito Canaveral in 1987-88. The aftermath of this battle, which lasted about 6 months, included UNITA's survival, SWAPO losing its bases, and FAPLA suffering its greatest collapse. The battle was perceived as a major historical event because from that point, communism began retreating all over the continent. The disbandment of the Unit 32. Even though the 1990s Unit 32 was a lot larger than the 1980s one, it was less active. The main reason being that Namibia declared its independence in 1989 and the Soviet Union disintegrated in 1991. Just when it looked like nothing could ever tarnish the unit and its accomplishments, something major happened on April 8, 1992. The battalion was deployed in a town called Fola Park, where it used live ammo against several civilians. That completely savaged the unit's reputation forever. Since South Africa was going through a transition to the Mandela African National Congress era, it was necessary to start an investigation to resolve the problematic incident. Unfortunately, this tragic event cast a shadow over the amazing endeavors of the unit and focused the public's attention on this infamous mission. The fantastic record of the unit was forgotten and was only recalled and praised by those who served in it. Be that as it may, Unit 32 remains one of the best and most successful combat forces in the history of the African continent. The aftermath. After the unit was disbanded, its remaining members were transferred to other SADF units, including the parachute and mechanized battalions and the recce's. In addition, it was decided to reactivate 2 SAI at Pomfret, enabling about a quarter of the troops to return to Pomfret as members of the new 2 SAI. However, when 2 SAI was relocated to Zeerust in 1999, a significant number of its members chose to stay in Pomfret and submitted their resignations instead. By 2008, approximately a quarter of the initial 1,032 families were still living in Pomfret, struggling to make ends meet. Several unit members later played key roles in establishing or joining private military firms like Executive Outcomes and Sandline International. These companies supported the Angolan government in its conflict against UNITA. Executive Outcomes, for instance, was employed by the Sierra Leonean government to help push back RUF forces during the Sierra Leone Civil War from March 1995 to March 1997. According to some sources, a few individuals involved in the reported 2004 attempt to overthrow the government in Equatorial Guinea were ex-members of 32 Battalion. They were later arrested in Zimbabwe, and it remains uncertain if they were fully aware of both the plan and their final destination. Also, it was never proven that they served in Unit 32. Except for being one of the greatest fighting forces in the history of Africa, Unit 32 is also one of the most decorated ones during the South African Border War. As many as 13 honoris crux medals for bravery were given to its members, and the only remaining force that received more medals to this day is the South African Special Forces Brigade, who received 46 medals during the same period. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and comment on this video. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you like what we're doing and want us to continue with more cool content. Until the next time,